that's gonna die! I'll finish this here and now.
First things first, I like to do is drag my character into the scene. If you don't have your character into the scene, one thing that you could do is go into your folder, then adjust your sizing, and then you could drag them into the scene from here. Boom, boom, and then dragging them onto the scene will place your character. Now, with your character in the scene, uh, the first things I would do if I were you, I would drag my character over here onto the track, and then after you add your character on the track, add a transform, and then from a transform, um, yeah. So, um, okay, and then you want to add a mesh 0. It's really no specific order. You can add the mesh 0 and then the transform, and then you can click on either your character or the mesh 0 and still add the transform, and there will be no difference. Okay, but after you have done that, this is the very important part, because me and my learning experience of Unreal, everything starts from a 0 point, especially when it comes down to animating, and we are at the 0 point of the animation. So first things first, what you would want to do is either click on the mesh 0 or you start off up here. Okay, and after you have that, which actually I don't have the right character on, but that was 2. Sorry, but outfit 1. So a prime example of a mistake that can happen, but as you see, just rebond it to my same character, and from that, there you will start having animations. But make sure, yeah. All right. So now I have the right character on, but make sure you have the right character. And how you'll know, I have multiple characters up on my scene that I've been working with, doing different stuff. Some are enemy targets. I use as targets, some I just keep in the scene. But one thing you never do is delete your character from the scene. All right. So a fast way that I like to do things is go down to the rebind character. If you're still using the same animation, if you see the track like this, then one thing you could do is right click, go to properties, and then you could just fastly look up the animation and then copy it. Control C, and then go to your mesh, go to animation, and then the search assets. You want to add that to the mesh. Okay, so, whoa, where did he go? All right, let's show you. The APL is the intro animation. So this intro animation is something that I will be editing. So one thing I'm doing is I'll left click on a sequencer and I'll just use the arrows and go along it until I see the character break at the end. So once I see the character break at the end, I'll move back 1 so the character fixes. If you see, I move up 1, break, fix. Okay, so boom. I'm going to show you guys how to get the animation if it is looking like this, exactly how this looks, but it'll be more it will look like you can't add it from there, which you really can't. So you'll have to go into the animation. If you're having an issue to where you can't add that animation from there, you can still go into the animation itself, and then don't click on the animation or you'll crash your system. Trust me. You can click on animation from here because you already edited that track, and then from there you can get the second part to what you need, and that will be the standout of what that would be. But for this video sake, I don't need that because I can just actually I could just really click on both of those and Control C and go to the end of this, break, go back 1 and click on your track, and then Control C, and if you control C, after how I clicked on both of them, I will select one and then I'll shift select the other one. And if I shift selected each and every one, I can still get that same thing. But on the first animation track, you always, if it's not nullified out and you could add it onto your track, I would just copy this one and then add that. You would actually have to left click or right click, go to properties, and then do that process. But you'll have to add it through the trackway so you can get the animation track, and then everything else after that you could just shift copy and paste it. Okay, that's just so you can get a great understanding of how that operated. And another thing is, one thing I never like to mistaken, like to get that. I like to add that transformation so it's always there. But if your character happens to be outside of the scene, which mine's is, and what I gotta do is boom, reset that, and then you'll reset that. And what that will do is put your character back at a 0 point of the axis, and then you go to your actual character, not the mesh, but you go to your character, and he is at 0, so he's fine. But he's fine. But that's just in case you are not at a 0 point. My animation starts off at a different point, so it will start off up there. Ooh, bad practice. Oops. 0 point. Ooh. See how everything worked? See how everything was? He'll go through the floor. That's just because I started the animation and I put him at a different point somewhere else. So 0. Restart it. Put your mesh at 0. And then boom. So it should look exactly like this inside of your location, rotation, and scale. Don't mess with the scale at all. And then on the mesh, just make sure you reset everything. It'll be at -90. From -90, make it 0. And then from that, you save the transform, move back, go back into it, and that's how you'll have a perfect animation. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is go into the LSG level sequence, and I'm going to save it immediately, and I'll save it as bar doc. Click on my folder, and I could go, and this is the reason why the underscore is very important. It was actually right here, but if you have a lot of files, you could just search up APO and it'll just pop right up. Renaming it, if you automatically save it as that, you will automatically crash your system, so be aware of that. But the reason why that underscore was so important, you could just throw in the LSG and everything running around the APO. If you're messing with the LS cam or sound, which that's LSSND, then you can just click on it. This is if you're doing it the PDA way, or not even the PDA way, but just in general, because you still have to recreate the construct even if you're using 0 spark. Okay, so now that I have that new save, we still have the same animation, but no new applied edit. Why? Because you have to apply it a specific way. So what I like to do is go here, and I'll consider if it's not right here, and then you have a whole clutter full of different stuff, you can just search up APO, and then the base of it, and the interior, which would be the new MS, the new LSG. Apply the new LSG by right clicking, go to properties, and add that to your subsequence. Now you have a new LSG. No difference right now, but there is a slight difference. So one thing I'd like to do is close all my subsequences, and if you have this is really for any LSG, but sometimes you'll have a bullet controller, and if you're using a special move 1 SL or special move 2, sometimes the SL will control or have a bullet controller that shoots the beam or allows the character to shoot the beam. So be aware of that. If you have a bullet controller, 9 times out of 10, I usually keep the bullet controller the same. Or if I want to adjust it from where I'm editing it, then I will just make my adjustments as I do. But I will, if I'm editing multiple, if it has multiple tracks, then what I do is select one and then shift select the next one. And then, well, oops, go back, Control Z, that, or select this. And then, boom. Well, why is it not doing it? Okay, that. And then you can move both of them at the same time. But for this tutorial, I am not adding or editing that way. I'm only adding on to the intro. So I have my effects folder already set up. If you don't, then what you can do is go into SS, and then you'll have an effects folder. You can just you can add it to your favorites. I prefer to have it in my favorites because it works a lot more efficient and better for me. So once you have the effects folder, you can use these, you can use the ID list, and if you have a great imagination of and a great idea of like what every character does, then you'll pretty much know exactly what you're looking for. And for my instance, I'm looking for it's like a background for it that I want to add. So copy effects, just search that up, and then if I want to add the effect onto my track, I just drag it in, and then I'll call it background. This is just for video purposes. This is how to create the track and how to like edit it completely. Add a FX, a particle, or you can add the particle parameter track. The particle parameter track will be more of it would be more of an additive, if you would say, if you want it to start up at a specific time and you want your track to play out, but you just don't want it to pop in at that point in time, you could just add that different track to it, and this will add that to it at that point in time. But I am not doing that, so I will save my location and add in that track. I will add one more and attach it to the sequence, which is the APL MS, and attach it to my character. Sometimes you'll have to select skin mesh, and skin mesh is probably the main two, or you could select face. But for this, I want this to follow the mesh, so I'm gonna select that, and I can select any socket that's pairing it with the mesh, but I'm gonna keep it at the null bone because it has a bone that's null. And doing so, there is no effect, and he is still in the scene a little higher up. But to get your effect active, we have different effects that the ways that the effects can pop off. So you can activate it, deactivate, and trigger. Trigger will trigger it at a certain point, and activate, it's really no difference, but triggering it will pretty much just stay active. It's pretty much the same thing as activate. It doesn't matter. But let's add that key, and when you start your animation, that's how you get a new effect. And I'm gonna go to 0. Sorry if you hear the dog in the background. My neighbors is pretty out with their dog. Just expand that a lot, and remember, save the track, the transform, so you can keep that same scale. And usually I'll go to the end, let it play out, and then at the end I'll deactivate. So that's how you do that, and that's how you will add a particle onto your character and the effect. Now you can manipulate at any point in time you would like. Just add on to the particle, and make sure you click on the particle and then edit it to how you see fit. And then you can either press that keyframe, or you can just hit S after editing after you move something and then you do something else in your scene. If you don't want to go down here, you could just S, and that'll add a keyframe as well, or I have an automatic keyframe which will save everything automatically. But that's how you will manipulate what you want done in your effects, and you can do a lot with it. So be aware, sometimes you'll have to add it to the mesh, you can add it to the skin, you can add it to the character mesh 0 and still pair it to the skin. So there are multiple ways to go around this. If you are having problems in your LSG with your effects, then you should pair it to, or you should just attach it to a whole different part. If you want to attach it to a different part, what I would do is just delete this and then just attach it again, start fresh with it, just so you really don't run into any errors. But that's how you would do that. And to save it, simply put, actually I just want to complete this out because I'm actually really working on this right now. So I'm gonna go with Gogeta. I like to keep my stuff color coded in the IDs as well. So in the effects, you can just search up the ID tag and it'll pop up with all the different ID tags. But I do know that the specific blue that I'm looking for is around this area. I've noticed that a lot of auras run on the second track, which comes very helpful. A lot of auras run on the second track, so I like that. Actually, I'm gonna add that to it as well. A quicker way, if you are adding a lot of effects, one thing I would do is close this, Control C after selecting it, Control V, and I would say effects 1, take out this track, and then I would go to 0, take off my transform row. Actually, I don't have to take off the transform, I could just reset the scale, and close this, copy, go down, paste, oops, copy, and then go off of it, paste it, effects 2, then same thing goes to this one, 3. It just helps for a more faster workflow, and it just really helps a very lot. So as you've seen, I just added the effects 1 and trigger when he gets to a certain point, boom. And this is probably when I would want it to trigger, so I'll save my location of it just in case whenever I add the trigger I don't forget. Okay, so when he comes in now, oh, it's still the white light, but you'll still have to add that. Because I'm already on it, just left click it and add it onto the track, save the transform. Now you'll have a new edit. This really works best with these type of animations when you're working, as you see, because it's an intro, the APL. I actually really would want it to follow my mesh, because the mesh is really it's kind of hard to explain, but being deep into it, you would really understand on why you would want it to, the effects to follow your mesh other than the actual character himself. Now, sometimes you will want it to follow the character, but that will only really come into like blast effects. That's just so the camera does not isn't affected. I believe the camera is following the mesh, so sometimes it will come in a conflict with the if you have it attached to the mesh. That's just something I've been learning. But you know, now that we have that, I have my transform and I have the background, which this is floor effects. I have these two, and I just want one more. Now, I want an aura. Aura. Okay, so now I have that. Kind of want a blue aura. Now, this is another crafty part. If you're having a hard time finding out a blue aura that you want, if you can't find the specific aura, then one thing that you can do is go, I'll get out of my search history, go into the character data, go into V, add that. One thing I do is go into effect color data type, and I'll expand them all. SMB petite. I think this is blue. No, that's not the effect that I want, but it is in here. And you can really find out what aura you want out of just clicking on them. 6. So remember that 6 and 7 are your auras. Blast. This is just another way, like you could find particles like this way too, but I know that I can find a particle a lot quicker than what I'm doing right here. So I'll just go back into what I was doing. But that's just the way that you can add particles. Another way here, and it should be down here. Sometimes you just have to click on the auras or the particles, and sometimes if you are inside of it, you can just go back on your mouse wheel, and because sometimes it'll be too close, go out and you'll see what particle you're messing with. I think I had that earlier, so I should probably keep that. But after you have your particle that you want, because I have it done the way that I did it, which was copying off of one master save that automatically did not have anything but just ready to be activated. Just change that to trigger. That's the only thing that was unsaved, was I want everything to trigger at a certain point. But aura, so now I have that. Add that into my new effects, and I think trigger, and right here I'll deactivate it, because I know that when he's coming down, I want him to have aura, and then it kind of goes away when he drops in. So you see how that operates? It's really good character construct build. Not really important, but I always go back to the 0 point, and here this is how you actually get it in game. Construct bonding ID, go to that and rebond the character, edit section, PL, rebond, but make sure it's bonded to your mesh before you rebond it back to rebond character, or else it just won't work. It will work, but it'll probably be in a 0 point, at a 0 point that you just don't know. If you have saved it correctly in your files, which these are all the editor files, that whatever I've did in this one, just know that I did it in each and every single one of these. It should automatically keep the name saved, so you don't have to re-click on anything. Just click save, yes, and then go out of that and do the same thing in the MS, and it'll still keep a different name but the same name of the original file, so you don't run into any errors. Save it, and then how you lock it in, save current level as. You should have a save. I have an old camera. I'll show you how to edit the cameras later on, but I have my save automatically preset to that. So save it, and it should close out right here, and you will have no more saves. So now you have a new edited APL.